I'm Ann Miller Andrus, and my family moved to Richmond in 1957. I guess I was about 4 or 5 years old. Lived over on Lorraine Avenue, right at the corner of Stratford, so very close to the library, but this library wasn't open then. So by the time we moved over to Windsor Avenue, I guess the library here opened 1964, I think, is when the building was constructed and the library opened. And I think my sisters and I probably were users of the library that very first year. My mother was a strong reader. As a girl growing up, she read lots of books. I still have her books with her little book plate in it, you know. I enjoy sharing my books as I do my friends, asking them that you treat them well and see them safely home. So she loaned out books and read books. She read to us, my father read to us, whether it was books, newspaper, magazines. I guess my first grade teacher, Miss Cliff, who was wonderful, she probably got us all started reading. I think my sisters had her as well at Ginter Park School. And reading was just important. It was something my sisters and I did. I often would read to my sisters even after we all could read for ourselves. We'd check out some books here, the Tornado Jones. Probably nobody reads Tornado Jones anymore, but he was a favorite, and I would read those aloud to my sisters, excuse me, in the winter after supper, and just had a good old time. I know that before this library opened, Bookmobile came over to Bellevue Avenue, and that was a big deal. We loved the Bookmobile. So I feel like that was sort of my introduction to this library, which I feel like it's my library. You know, it's my neighborhood. I come here a lot. But the Bookmobile was just something magical. We'd watch it just sort of lumber into the parking lot and wait while everything got organized and the door finally opened and we liked to be the first ones in. So we might have been sitting over there in the grassy lot beside the parking lot with our, bikes thrown down and just waiting for the Bookmobile. So reading's just always been important to me. I'm sort of forgetting some of the other questions you might have asked.
No worries. You touched a bit on earliest and or fondest memory of Richmond Library.
Mm-hmm.
And what keeps you coming back here, either to Richmond Public Library or the Ginter Park Branch in particular, or both?
Well, it's definitely the Ginter Park Branch, especially because I'm just 4 blocks away and I walk over here frequently. I guess I wish sometimes that there were more copies of the most popular books available, but I've always had good luck asking it to be sent from another library or held here. But I am a member of the Henrico County Public Library, and they always have like multiple copies of the newest book or something like that. So I wish that were true for Richmond libraries in particular. When we had a really important paper to write or something like that in school, we'd often go down to the main library, and that had just about everything. I always remember using the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature, looking for articles on something current, but it was always sort of before they put the facelift on the building. It was kind of a scary building. It was sort of dark and gloomy from the outside. Inside, I didn't notice that. And I spent my career in historic preservation with the Commonwealth of Virginia, so I probably would have objected to that, facelift of that building, since it was a pretty historic looking building. But that was a great library, and still is. And I know when I was driving back and forth from Petersburg to Richmond, I would stop in there and get books on cassette, to make the drive a little less tedious. So and they had a much larger collection of that kind of book than I could find here. But what else can I tell you?
Is there anything that keeps you from using the library as you would like to?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the hours meet my hours most of the time. Like I said, I usually walk over here. So I don't have to worry about parking or that type of thing. I can still read, you know, I don't need a large print or braille or anything like that. And I'm thankful that I'm still a reader. I enjoy reading, and at this library, if I can wait long enough, sometimes I can get the books I want to read, and that's not a a real complaint, because like I said, I've always, if I wanted a book, I can request it. It comes, it's held for me. I get a call, and I come over and pick it up.
Is there anything you would like to say about the pandemic?
You know, I was thinking about that when I was writing my memories. Was the library closed at all for any part of the pandemic?
Very briefly, yes.
Yeah. And I just don't remember. I know my husband and I did a lot of work on our house during that time because everything seemed sort of shut down, and we just painted and cleaned the brass on the front door, and that kind of thing. So, but I know when the library, you were closed when the renovation was taking place, and that was hard, knowing that my library was inaccessible at that point. But I went to other branches or the main library, and it's no problem.
And do you have any dreams or hopes for the future of either this branch or the Richmond Library in general?
Well, I would like to see the Richmond libraries get as much money as Henrico and Hanover seem to get. I haven't compared the budgets, but there's several nice, new, luxurious sort of libraries in Henrico, and one I go to meetings for in Hanover. And I hope that someday Richmond will have a larger budget, if that's part of the problem. Maybe not a problem, but the discrepancy anyway. But I hope that this library will stay here, because I see it used a lot. Parking lot's often, crowded with cars. See all ages of people in here. And I want to keep walking over here to get books to keep me reading. So I know I mentioned in my written memories that I wanted to be on hand here when the renovation was completed, the library was reopened, big celebration, just because I was so glad it was back, and I remembered how important it was to my growing up. And my father always said my mother was just tickled when the library opened. She just, that fed all of her reading memories, and she knew that we would use it a lot for pleasure, for study, book reports, whatever, themes in school. So, I wanted to be here in the class. And I just imagined she was sitting beside me going, oh, this is just great. This is just wonderful. It's still here.